What's going on, guys? It's Prototype, and I'm coming back at you with another leaked armor video. And it's been a very long time since I've actually uploaded one of these, but I'm glad that one of these pictures showed up in my line chats and I can actually show this to you guys. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and explain exactly what all is in this picture. Now, as you can see, there's 6 armors listed as chests or war Dragonforged. Now, those ones have the ring and amulet set and don't have a picture of a raid boss that goes along with it or a material that drops. Now, on the right, as you can see, it says raid Dragonforged armors. Now, those also have a jewelry set, but they do have a picture of a boss that looks like it would go along with the armor. Now, these are all just based on judgment, but as you can see, they do match up pretty well, so it's really not that difficult to decide what goes with what. Of course, the Craftable Dragonforged armor has the thing that it drops. If you haven't seen my video that explains that, it talks a little bit about how you can get the materials required to craft that. That's on my channel. It's the one that I recently uploaded, so go ahead and check that out if you haven't seen it already. And then at the bottom, we have epic boss armors. I don't know why there's no label, but I guess they don't really need one. And as you can see, it says, or shows the material that they drop, of course the armor itself, and then the boss that is required to beat in order to get the armor. And you might be wondering, how do they tell which is epic and which is Dragonforged? And really, they just guess, as far as I know, unless they're labeled differently. But from what I've seen, I'm pretty sure they just guess, because a lot of the things that they put in here have actually been incorrect. So if you see something in here, it might not be correct. They might just be guessing on which is which, but based on the complexity of the design, they have a fairly good idea. Plus, raid boss armors, or raid bosses, I should say, don't drop materials to craft the armors. So anyways, enough rambling about what all is in this picture. Let's go ahead and look at each individual armor. Now, on the top left, we have what appears to be a spirit water armor. Or water spirit, if you want to be really technical. Either way, I can say I called it. And this one has very strange looking horns on the side of its head. I don't know what's going on there. It's kind of interesting. It has a sword that's kind of spiky. It looks very nice. And of course, the ring and amulet set to go along with that. Now, the next one looks like it could be a fire earth armor, or it could be a mono earth. Who knows? Kind of hard to tell. Very interesting. Very interesting. It looks like the one of the ring and amulet sets that came out in a chest the very first time, I think it was. It looks a little bit like that. Very interesting. The shield, boxy, spiky, you know. There's a very nice hat too, I have to admit. I like the hat. It's a very cool armor. And then of course it has the ring and amulet set to go along with that one as well. Next up, we have what looks like a fire air armor. This one usually, like this element type I should say, usually follows the feathery kind of bird style of armor, even if it doesn't actually directly like follow like a bird, like a raid boss. If the raid boss isn't exactly like a bird, so usually it still has like a feathery type of look to it. That's just kind of how they do the fire air armor, is something I've noticed. So I like this one. I am a big fan of fire air armors, I have to say before I get into this. So this one is definitely going to be at the top of my list when it comes to the favorites in this leak. This one looks very nice, of course. The weapon is interesting, I have to say. All of the other weapons are pointing upward, and this one is pointing down. So I don't know, that's kind of interesting. It looks like just a big fan, to be honest. But I'm sure it's some kind of weapon that'll actually do damage. It's not actually a fan. The shield, very complex. Like I've said before, I just love fire air armors and the style that they have. Next up, we have a mono spirit armor, I believe. Like I said, these are all assumptions, but based on the colors and the design, I believe this is a mono spirit. It could be spirit air, but I'm leaning more towards a mono spirit. Very spiky design. We noticed that in a few of the other ones. They look pretty spiky. It looks interesting. The sword looks like a raw fish. Ooh boy, that's a reference right there. You know who you are. Leave a comment and we can make more inside jokes about that later. But it does look like a raw fish. It looks like it's holding the spine, and then it has the head. Of course, that's not actually what it is, I don't think. It's a little bit hard to tell since the picture is so small and not the best quality, but definitely an interesting looking armor. I'm not a big fan of mono spirit, mainly because there's just so many mono spirit armors. I feel like they push mono spirit more than anything. Either that or I just get a bunch of mono spirits, maybe it's just me. But anyways, of course that one has the ring and amulet set as well, and I didn't mention it but the last one does, of course, I'm sure you saw it. Next up we have what looks like a water air armor, or possibly just a mono air. I don't know, this one's kind of interesting. I don't really see it leaning towards mono water because it has the yellow on it and because it is a lighter blue. Usually mono waters aren't that light of a blue armor, or color I should say. I'm getting really in depth with this, by the way, guys. If you've never seen one of these kind of videos, it gets intense. So the weapon, yeah, I don't know what those are called, but I've seen them before. I remember when they had the design a weapon, or design an armor contest, I should say. I keep saying that, I should say. I apologize for that, but I wanted to use that, not we, I wanted to use that in designing a Dragonforged, but I really didn't get around to making the whole thing, so I just drew a couple of those weapons and called it good. But very cool armor. I don't really like describing the armors. It's just kind of, you know, things that stand out to me. There's nothing that stands out to me on this armor, just the weapon. And of course the ring and amulet to go along with that one. Lastly, on the chest and war Dragonforged armor list, we have what appears to be another fire air armor, which is interesting. Usually they don't have duplicates. I didn't really see anything water in this lineup except for the very first one, so that's kind of strange. Normally they have a good variety of all the elements. Considering there's 6 armors, they should have at least one of each element. So I guess it kind of makes sense. We haven't really seen many earth either, we only saw the one. So this armor, the weapon, again, they have very unique weapons in this leak. It looks like a big, I don't know what you call that. I don't want to say a mace, but it basically looks like a giant tube of death, basically. I don't know how else to describe it. And this one, it has a little like flag off the top of the head too, that's interesting. So yeah, not much stands out about that armor either, of course, besides the weapon. Very cool. I love the designs for all of the chest and war Dragonforged armors, and as well as their ring and amulet sets. Now let's move on to the raid Dragonforged. Now the first one possibly could be fire air as well. I see this one definitely having air in it. And it's kind of interesting we see this leak because all of the armors from the previous leak haven't even been brought out yet. I know the raid this weekend, which actually might have already happened by the time you guys see this video, but some of the armors from the previous leak haven't come out yet, so it's weird announcing some of the raid Dragonforged when I know the previous raids haven't even happened. And of course the planning that goes into that, you know, thinking about what element is going to be next, that's, you know, kind of interesting. It's something you guys can take into consideration while you guys are seeing these armors. Make your guesses, check out your lineups, and see what you can do against these guys. So of course this one has another very interesting looking weapon. It looks more of like a royal kind of armor, you know, it gives me the feeling of royalty. Maybe it's because it has the little robes on the side and the little spikes going off the top of the head. Very nice looking armor, very clean. Definitely going to be trying to get that if I have the chance. I really wish I could go top 10, and maybe since they have implemented top 25 reward as being a Dragonforged in the previous war, maybe top 25 will be able to get this Dragonforged as well. Next up we have what appears to be another mono spirit. It looks like an epic boss armor, I won't lie. It looks like one of the previous ones. I think it was Dibuk, maybe? I don't know, I probably butchered that name so hard. But you guys know which one I'm talking about, I'm sure. It looks very similar with all the gold and the purple, the usual kind of mono spirit. It looks more like the epic boss one, yeah. So again, the weapon is unique. I shouldn't say unique, but it looks cool. It looks similar to Manipulator's Soul Plate. It looks very similar to that. Pretty much the same weapon design as the other armor that I just mentioned. And of course, that one has a ring and amulet set, which is obtained at the max milestone. Now here, I won't spend too much time on the craftable Dragonforged armors, or armor, I should say. There's only one. If you guys really want to see a little bit more about how this armor looks and how we can expect it to be implemented into the game, go ahead and check out my other video on that, as I mentioned before. But this one, I don't really like how much snowflakes they put on it, and the fact that the snowflakes look so round and like, I don't want to say girly, but they look like little like flower petals, you know. It looks more like a flower than a snowflake, if you know what I mean. So cool armor, very nice that they have craftable Dragonforged. Let's move on to the epic boss armors. First epic boss armor is just crazy. I don't know what all is going on there. Lots and lots of spikes, lots and lots of everything. The weapon looks like a hatchet, sort of. You can see the little head of the axe there. And then it has the wings looking, I don't know what you call those. Wings, I guess? I don't know. The little thingies coming off the side of the axe. That's very interesting. I feel like that would get in the way if you think about it practically, but of course that doesn't matter. We never think about things practically when it comes to Knights and Dragons. And yeah, of course that one has the materials that it drops, and then as you can see it has the little boss there. Very, very cool. These don't really have a theme, so I believe that they won't be a part of an Epic Boss collection, especially considering that one will have just ended by the time these come out. Next up we have an Earth Armor, possibly Fire Earth. I wouldn't really push too hard towards Fire, but I don't know. You never know. So this one, very plain. It looks really, really small compared to the rest of the armors that have been shown in this video. I don't know why they always have like really complex big designs, and then there's always one that's just kind of small and, you know, to itself. So it reminds me a little bit of Ravage in the fact that it's so small, and of course the elements might be similar as well. So another very cool armor. I'll be looking forward to that one in the Epic Boss. Next up we have what appears to be a mono fire, which is interesting. I feel like we haven't had a mono fire boss in a long time. It's a very interesting armor, I would say. It looks bulky, kind of like an actual knight, I guess you could say. It's kind of weird. A lot of the armors don't even look like real knights, but this one reminds me of an actual knight. It looks very big, very strong, and the shield, I don't know, it's very interesting. The curve, it looks like a what's the word? I forgot. Scorpion. There it is. Scorpion. It reminds me of a scorpion tail. So I don't know what all is going on with the weapon. That doesn't really remind me so much of a scorpion. It looks kind of like sand is being poured out of that and is kind of like being manipulated in some way, if you will, if that makes any sense. So very cool armor. Let's move on to the very last armor in this leak. Now this last one looks like it could be a mono spirit. It could be a fire spirit, but I doubt it'll be fire spirit considering the red is not that prominent. The main color of this armor is purple. And of course with the little boss that it shows as well, there's not much red on it. There's more white than red. So I would assume that it is just a mono spirit. Another very cool armor. The helmet is cool, I have to say. That's all I can say about it. It's cool. The sword seems very generic. Looks a little bit like a, I don't know, just a very generic sword. It gets skinnier and then it gets fatter. That's one of the things that I've always been really picky about when I see swords. I don't understand why they do that, but you know, what do I know about swords? And the shield has a giant pinkish purple orb in the middle, along with those red spikes going in. So very cool. I really like this armor as well. After seeing all of the Epic Boss Collection armors, I have to say this was probably my second favorite, and then the first one is my number one. So yeah guys, that is all of the armors that were in this leak. If you guys find any more leaks, go ahead and send them to me online. I'd love to make a video about them, but I'm assuming that we're not going to see anything for around a month. That's usually how long it takes for them to come out with another leak, considering that's how long it takes for each armor to be implemented in the game. There's 4 Epic Boss armors, so it'll take 4 weeks, which is about a month. So if you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like. Let me know which one of these armors you want to see, or which ones you want to get, I guess I meant to say. So leave a comment letting me know which one you want to get the most, which one is your favorite, which one is your least favorite, and what are your opinions on the Craftable Dragonforged. It's something very interesting we haven't seen before. And anyways guys, I will see you in the next video.